Hello and a very warm welcome. This is the news on NTA International. My name is Justin Abemunya and here are the top stories. Federal government reaffirms commitment to continue to promote democratic culture and good governance. Supreme Court dismisses PDP and SDP appeals challenging the election of Yaya Bello as governor of Kogi State. Plus, Nigeria Police Force canvasses support from civil societies organizations on conduct of free governorship elections in Edo and Ondo State. Well, thank you so much for joining us. A tripartite executive, legislative and leadership of the APC Consultative Committee has been inaugurated in a deliberate attempt at enhancing democracy and good governance in the country. President Muhammadu Buhari, who performed the ceremony, promised to lead and find solutions as he places great faith in the committee towards improving service delivery to Nigerians. Status correspondent Ramusambu has the details.
The Tripartite Consultative Committee is aimed at creating the desired synergy amongst the executive, legislature and the governing party towards delivering effectively the administration's core promises of securing the country, enhancing the economy and fighting corruption for sustainable national growth and development.
The Tripartite Consultative Committee will build a greater collaboration to deliver on the promises, position our party, which has been rejuvenated, enhance legislative processes, and enable government perform better.
Inaugurating the committee, President Muhammadu Buhari said with the governing APC commanding a clear majority in both the Senate and House of Representatives, taking Nigeria to the next level is a task that must be done. This, he however said, can only be achieved through effective coordination, collaboration, cooperation and communication between the leadership of the various arms of government and the governing party.
We must admit to ourselves that our party has been too often embroiled in bitter and on occasions totally unnecessary squabbles, costing us seats in legislative and gubernatorial elections. These never should have happened. We are here to make sure such occurrences do not happen again. We must now ensure regular consultations between the party and the governments.
Expressing firm belief in the doctrine of separation of powers, which he described as fundamental to the nation's constitutional democracy, the president, however, said the practice should be a harmonious checks and balances, devoid of petty rivalry.
As one government, we must further align ourselves and be alive to our electoral promises. We need to nurture our party, which is the platform that will take us and our country forward. I am placing great faith in this consultative committee to help improve our governance and achievements to the people of Nigeria. Your success will directly enhance the success of this administration and greatly improve the conditions of our people.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan, Speaker Femi Bajabiamila, and the Chairman, APC Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, Governor Maimala Buni of Yobe State, were unanimous that with the Tripartite Consultative Committee, Nigeria and Nigerians will witness much difference in governance and service delivery.
It is incumbent upon us, as an administration and as a party, to ensure that we meet the expectations and aspirations of Nigerians. This is not in any way to compromise the independence of the legislature. If anything, is to strengthen the legislature.
What this is about is that we don't allow the approach of 2023 to affect governance. And how do you not allow 2023 to affect your policies? By bringing your men together. That's what a responsible party will do, and that's exactly what Mr. President has done today.
The party is very happy with this development, with this tripartite arrangement to deliver on our promises. It is in the best interest of Nigerians and the party.
The Tripartite Consultative Committee, first of its kind under the Buhari presidency, is chaired by Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to the General Overseer, Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye. State House correspondent Adamo reports that their discussions held behind closed doors lasted about 1 hour. At the meeting were Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo and Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, but details were not made public. Pastor Enoch Adeboye, 78 years old, heads the Christian Church of God for nearly 40 years, during which it has grown phenomenally. President Muhammadu Buhari formally played host to the clergyman for the first time in February 2016. Pastor Adeboye also met the Nigerian leader in August 2017 in London, the British capital. The Redeemed Christian Church of God is a Pentecostal mega church and denomination founded in Lagos, Nigeria, with millions of followers. In an effort to ensure that synergy and effective supervision of the federal government's digital transformation initiatives, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the transfer of the National Identity Management Commission to the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. In a statement by a spokesperson of the Minister of Communications, Uwa Suleiman, the development is as a result of President Buhari's consideration for the critical role of National Identity Management Commission towards the realization of the objectives of the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy for a Digital Nigeria. It may be recalled that NIMC is mandated to create, manage, maintain and operate the National Identity Database established by the NIMC Act 2007. And now to Judicial Matters, where the Supreme Court has affirmed the election of Yahaya Bello as Governor of Kogi State. The decision followed the dismissal of two separate appeals filed by Musa Wada of PDP and Natasha Akpoti of Social Democratic Party SDP, challenging the re-election of Yahaya Bello as Governor of Kogi State. Judiciary correspondent Vera Chiruba was at the Supreme Court for NTA News.
Election Petition Tribunal and the Court of Appeal had, in concurrent judgments, reaffirmed the re-election of Yahaya Bello as Governor of Kogi State on the grounds that the PDP and SDP were not able to prove the allegations of electoral malpractices in the petitions. The Apex Court Monday, in affirming the decisions of the lower courts, also resolved all the 5 grounds of appeal in favor of Yahaya Bello of Kogi State. In the judgments read by Justice Wani Abaji, the Supreme Court held that the cases of the appellants were devoid of merit as they failed to prove allegations made in their separate petitions. On the issue of exclusion, Justice Abaji noted that the appellants blew hot and cold, and at the same time, when they in one breath said the logo of the SDP was not on the result sheet, while in another they claimed it was written on longhand. The Social Democratic Party and its governorship candidate Natasha Akpoti, in addition to claims of electoral irregularities that allegedly marred the election, sought for the disqualification of Bello and his party, the APC, on grounds of alleged forgery and falsehood by the Deputy Governor, Mr. Edward Onoja. However, the Apex Court, in its judgment, held that there was no reason to interfere with the judgment of the Court of Appeal and the Tribunal. The court held that the appellant did not provide particulars of the alleged claim of forgery against the deputy governor. It further held that there was no evidence of rigging or evidence that the respondents connived among themselves to rig the election. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had declared Bello winner of the November 16 governorship election, having scored majority of votes cast in the election. However, citing substantial non-compliance and other electoral malpractices, 4 contestants approached the Kogi Governorship Election Petition Tribunal to nullify the election. These judgments bring to an end all illegal issues surrounding the conduct of governorship election in Kogi State. In Abuja, Vera Chiruba, NTA News.
Well, 17 cases are scheduled for hearing and judgment at the Medical and Dental Practitioners Disciplinary Tribunal sitting in Abuja. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that the trial of offences which are under the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act of 2004 as amended are all related to professional misconducts.
At the resumed hearing, the tribunal stepped aside judgment in the case between Chairman of Medical and Dental Practitioners Investigative Panel and Dr. Ioha Joseph, Obafemi Kuye, and Oladipo Ayewumi to Wednesday, 2nd September 2020, to avail the tribunal more documentary evidences. The adoption of addresses for 3 different cases are also to be entertained by the tribunal, and tentative date for judgment will be communicated to counsels of affected parties. 10 accused persons are also to be arraigned for defense and cross-examinations.
This is the 5th session of the Medical and Dental Council Tribunal. So far, so good. We are satisfied with the proceedings.
We have adopted our final written addresses. There is a judgment that is pending it to be given, and the new cases that are coming up, we have taken first arraignment. We will take the rest, and hopefully before the end of this session, we'll be able to dispense with so many cases by God's grace.
The tribunal has 1 quarter to conclude hearings and deliver judgment in all the petitions connected to gross professional misconduct in line with Medical and Dental Practitioners Act, Cap M8, Laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
A new national policy against trafficking in persons in Nigeria has been worked out. Stakeholders are meeting in Abuja to fine-tune the document to be presented to the Federal Executive Council for ratification. And Kelvin Ebenwaye reports.
A policy document on human trafficking was produced in 2008. After new trends in human trafficking emerged in recent years, a review became imperative. NAPTIP, along with its partners, are validating inputs from stakeholders from across the country to accommodate issues like legal services, protection for migrants abroad, guidelines for foster care for children, and intervention for trafficked persons.
There are new and emerging trends. For example, lots of people didn't know anything about organ harvesting, and even now this trafficking for domestic servitude is now a new trend, and it has become very common almost all over the world.
We have many activities working in the different areas, legislation, prosecution, prevention campaign. So I think that the work of FIAB is clear, and also the compromise and the commitment of the European Union with this organization also is very, very clear.
What is going to charter the intervention for victims, especially also working as civil society organizations, using the document at the point of first contact with victims, and also ensuring that we have the best resources and best intervention for these victims.
The new document, expected to be operational soon, will also isolate specific deliverables to make the management of migrants' issues and trafficked victims easier for relevant agencies and organizations. In Abuja, Kelvin Ebenwaye, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja. Stay tuned for more stories after the break. Well, thank you for staying with us. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has corrected the impression that the House totally shut down its activities during its 6 weeks annual recess. In a statement from his special advisor on media and publicity, Larry Lasisi, Gbajabiamila emphasized that the leadership of the House decided to suspend public and investigative hearings for the 3 weeks remaining of the annual recess to put in place more measures in view of the coronavirus pandemic. While answering questions from reporters after a meeting of the All Progressives Congress APC convened by President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House Monday, the Speaker disclosed that House's oversight functions of government ministries, departments and agencies are still ongoing. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 says it is monitoring developments across Africa and the world as the nation prepares to reopen international flights. The chairman of PTF, Boss Mustafa, who notes a decline in confirmed cases of COVID-19, urges vigilance among Nigerians and expansion of sample collection and testing by state governments. PTF Chairman Boss Mustafa congratulates recovered cases as the last 7 days revealed a consistently greater number of discharges than confirmed cases of COVID-19. He points out Africa has also weathered the storm of the pandemic with a death ratio of 1 per 10,000 persons. The PTF says testing for COVID-19 has dropped in many states due to reduced sample collection, indicating there may be challenges ahead.
The situation of testing in Nigeria.
As we still record fatalities from this case, there is no room for complacency until we meet our goal to reduce fatality rate to less than 1%. Part of the strategy is to focus on setting up community support centers where, particularly in remote areas of the country, those who test positive may be kept away if they live in high density areas, or those who are known to be vulnerable are protected from those who are positive.
The PTF, meanwhile, has been working with various agencies to develop protocols that will safeguard the well-being of international travel and prevent the importation of new infections, as well as prevent the further spread of COVID-19.
In the meantime, a World Health Organization survey shows more than 90% of countries have seen essential health services disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Uche Ugochukwu brings us update on the global coronavirus pandemic.
Johns Hopkins University Coronavirus Resource Center at 6 p.m. local time puts the number of cases globally at 25,456,564, with 851,894 fatalities. A World Health Organization survey showed more than 90% of countries have seen essential health services disrupted by the coronavirus pandemic. It raised concern that the measured health gains achieved over the past 2 decades could be destroyed in a short period of time. 41,513 cases of COVID-19 have been treated and discharged in Nigeria. The 138 new cases confirmed by the country's Center for Disease Control bring the total confirmed cases to 53,865. 1,013 patients have died. Meanwhile, data from the Africa Center for Disease Control indicates the continent has 1,251,274 infections. Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo says the country's international airport will reopen on Tuesday after being shut down since March. And Hong Kong's Education Minister announced schools are set to resume in person on September 23. In Asia, India is fast becoming the world's new coronavirus epicenter, setting a record for the biggest single-day rise in cases, as experts predict it will soon pass Brazil and ultimately the US. And sadly, former Indian President Pranab Mukherjee, who had tested positive for COVID-19, died on Monday after weeks in hospital. New Delhi's Army Hospital said the 84-year Mukherjee had gone into a septic shock after coming down with a lung infection. That does it on the COVID-19 update. I am Uche Ugochukwu.
In the related development, Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, has tested negative to COVID-19. The State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Gbenga Omotosho, confirmed his negative status in a press statement. He said Professor Abayomi retook the COVID-19 PCR test, which returned negative Sunday evening. According to the statement, the Health Commissioner will gradually return to his full duties as he remains resolute to deliver his mandate to ensure a coronavirus-free state. The 51-bedded Asokoro COVID-19 Isolation and Treatment Center in Abuja has been closed down and handed over for the commencement of normal clinical services. Hakimat Aliu, who brings us a situation report from the hospital, also had an interaction with the Acting Secretary, FCT Health and Human Services Secretariat, Dr. Mohammed Kawu, who noted that the step became necessary as some isolation centers in Abuja now have less than 20% of its capacity.
The numbers, that is, those infected in the whole country has been going down, and so also in FCT. Because of that, and so many other factors, FCT administration has decided to convert 2 of its isolation and treatment centers.
I'm here at the Asokoro District Hospital, Abuja, one of the 14 secondary healthcare facilities in the Federal Capital Territory, and one of the few converted to serve as isolation and treatment center due to the increase in number of coronavirus infection in the Federal Capital Territory. For months, it has played that role of treating and isolating COVID-19 patients. The situation, however, has changed. All COVID-19 patients have been discharged from this center. With me is the Acting Medical Director, Dr. Nnabuchi Chidi, and he's going to shed more light. So let's hear from you. We are back here again, and it seems it's no longer an isolation center. So what's the situation?
Asokoro District also was converted to an isolation center in April this year. And last week, the last patient was discharged, and the remaining one referred. So we are in the process now of cleaning up the place and getting it ready for admitting patients who are not COVID-19 positive. We are hoping to start admitting our first patient by Monday next week, which is 7th of September.
300 COVID-19 patients were managed at this facility with no death recorded. In Abuja, Hakimat Aliu, NTA News.
Sports, where Nigeria Football Federation charged to fast-track payment of FIFA COVID-19 palliatives as Argentine president calls for Messi's return to home club. Over now to Olumide Guntola for details of these and other sports stories.